Good morning and welcome back to your almost weekly, mostly weekly dose of whatever random things you choose to throw at me just to distract me. Squirrels. So, who said squirrels? Who said squirrel? Tinker. Tinker is squirreling already. But Crispian said, MCM shirt on, Monster caffeine drink, cold and open, sitting here equals I'm ready. MCM shirt. Okay, you need to explain the MCM shirt. While you are doing that, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. It sounds very formal when I say it like that. Yeah. I don't want it to be something that I just say without thinking about. Wagon Loads, yes, you're here. Wagon Loads is here. Who else is here? So, according to Castnode, I need to say good mornings to Crispian. Come on, I clicked. Is it going to go away? There. It finally worked. Okay. Stephen George, Chris Hiscox, Sharky, Russell Rainey, Tinker, Any Mules, Amanda, I haven't seen you in the chat for a little bit. Maybe it's because I haven't streamed for a little bit. I don't know. I think last stream you were busy working. Maybe. I can't remember. Wagon Loads. Paul Schultz is here. Grant Maisels. David Crisp. Welcome, everybody. If anybody else wants to say anything in the chat, your name will end up on the list, and then I will say hello to you. David says, morning, I'm stuck in the garden repointing brick walls. Oh, that is a pain. Repointing isn't fun. It's, yeah, it's just not a fun thing. Wagon Load says, I almost didn't make it here. I've been dead tired in the last few weeks. And Adapture. That's a name that I haven't seen in the chat before. So good morning to Adapture. Yeah, Wagon Loads. Okay, so you've been dead tired the last few weeks. Yeah, I hope you're okay. I hope it's not anything bad in particular. Hopefully it's just there has been a whole lot of life to live. So that's what is, yeah. I have been tired for the last little while as well, as you've probably seen on a number of streams, but it is just because there is a whole lot of life to live. Stephen says, maybe it's a contrast with the clothes, but your dome is very reflective today. Well, I shaved it maybe an hour and a bit ago, hour and a half ago, so it hasn't had much time to develop the non-reflective coating yet. The cold cometh. That's why you've heard the heater in the background, and that's why I'm wearing a hoodie right now. Crispian said he's been in the bowling ball polisher again. Yeah, sticking my head in. Also, Gavin Jackson is here. And the other Stephen. Both the Stephens. So, today. Now, firstly, we need to spare a thought for Vic. Because, hang on, let's... he is currently... The options that I had... Yeah, Storm Alert. The options that I had for things to do on the stream today are both things where time is getting along on them and I want to make progress, but I decided that I would do some more work on Beetlebot rather than RepRap Micron, which has been, so RRM has been neglected for a little while. Right now, Vic has the hatches battened down because this is coming through. Where is it right now? Affected area, Cyclone, Vano live. Okay, when was this? Updated 4 minutes ago. Get out now. Warning is storm track south. Yes. Ooh. Yeah, so Vic was messaging me yesterday and the day before, basically saying that he is in the track for the Cyclone, and so he is, yeah, he was expecting to have no power and for other very bad things to be going on pretty much today, based on the timing and trajectory. And so hopefully he's okay. He's holed up somewhere in a safe place with family and looking after themselves. Yeah, just another weekend in Cairns summer, says Gavin. Okay. Yes. And the end result of that is, well, that, and also I went to Bayswater Bolts. Specifically, what day is it today? Sunday. It was on Friday. I went to Bayswater Bolts on Friday specifically to get M3 50mm, technically called screws, because they are threaded all the way down. Vic corrected me on that terminology. Thanks, Vic. Because I have 50mm M3s which are half thread. They've got a shank on them, and I need them with the full length thread. And I was determined to actually solve this problem, and I thought if I just go to Bayswater Bolts, big shop, nothing but bolts, surely they would have M3 50mm in some form. Like it could be a screw head, or it could be a cap head, or it could be just like a hex bolt head or something. But no, they had M3 40mm, which I already have, and they had M3 50mm with a shank, which I also already have. So that was a bit of a failure, but I have now ordered some M3 50mm full thread from Amazon. Yeah, so hopefully that'll take care of everything. Also, Vic has continued to improve the Pika design. There is now a version 0.02. The most recent one that I printed was 0.01. From what he's described, there aren't radical differences between them, and I could just keep doing the build with the 0.01 frame, but my inclination is, if I'm going to start attaching stuff to the frame, so I'm at the point where I have the 0.01 frame, there's nothing attached to it. It's all I did was put in the nuts and things on that stream a few weeks ago. So what I want to do is print the 0.02 frame, get the proper 50mm M3 bolts, and have everything sorted so that next stream I can actually assemble it, and we'll put the access drivers onto the Pika and hopefully make it move. We shall see. But because of those various things, like Vic being in the situation where he's probably not going to be able to help on the stream and answer my silly questions, and the delays on the 50mm M3 bolts, I thought I would defer that for a little bit. Paul says, how does Amazon prices compare to Temu or AliExpress? Terrible. It cost me, including postage, I think it was about $14 or $15 for 10 bolts. So yeah, not good. You shouldn't be paying $1.50 per bolt for a little M3 50mm bolt. But I ordered 10 because that was the smallest quantity. I only need 3 to build a RepRap Micron, and I figured that I've been faffing around trying to solve this problem for long enough. Oh, Grant says he should have taken up my offer to send me some. Yeah, I don't want to put you out though. And last night I was sitting, I had my laptop open. Vic was had sent me some messages in chat with suggestions about how to solve the problem, and I ended up just going, screw this, I'm just ordering them right now. Get it out of my head, because I've been delaying on it for so long. Yet another crap gamer. Your face is a bolt. Oh, I didn't get a chance to say. Okay, so also good morning to Tech Nebulous and Austin. Austin, welcome to the chat. I saw a message from Austin. Just a little bit further back. Where is it? 2 weeks left of my 3-year college program, graduating with honors. So close, Austin. You're nearly there. That's a good achievement. Congratulations. And you will get more congratulations after the last couple of weeks when you have actually finished. But when you're only a couple of weeks away, you could trip right now and you'd still fall over the finish line. You've got it, Austin. You can, yeah. I have faith in you. Unexpected Maker is here. Just lurking while coding. Hey, Sion. It is cool to see you in the chat. Okay, so the yet another crap gamer handle. That's another one that I haven't seen in the chat before. It feels like an alt. Someone is in the chat with an alt, and with the message, is it Pete? It could be one of Pete's alts. It's not one I know. Yeah, so storms, stuff, whoa, boom, wind, much water, much landslide. Look at this. Oof. So I really hope Vic is doing well. And yes. Oh, Austin said, the only way I fail right now is not completing hours at co-op. All assignments are handed in and no exams. Yeah, nice. Just do those hours and you are done. Very, very good. Yet another crap gamer says, signing out and back in again hasn't fixed it. Probably some dumb YouTube studio setting. Yes, and alt. Okay. Does that mean that I've just doxed your alt? That would be bad. I'm sorry if I did that without thinking. No good associating alts with mains because it kind of defeats the purpose sometimes. Depends the reason for doing it. Depends why you've got the alt. Now, okay. This. Oh, Johnny. Johnny is here. Are we there yet? Good way after midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Johnny. Here is Johnny. Flashback. Your face defeats the purpose. Let's see if this works. Say, come on. It says bad word detected. Blocked, bad word detected. Okay, I can't even manually override it. What would be if Mitchell is around and maybe paying attention? Grant, silver supporter. Let's see if the TTS handles this okay. Is it going to? Is it going to? It's catching up. Okay, so while waiting for that, oh yes, here we go. Thank you, Grant. Yeah, thanks, Grant. That's an audio clip that we almost never hear. It's a very rare one because we get the supporter for X months one fairly frequently, and we get the super chat. We don't get the new supporter one very often, which is cool. Where was I going? Where was I going? I'm feeling very relaxed right now. Probably too relaxed to be on the ball to be doing this. Simon, welcome. Simon said, morning all, should be doing something else, but watching instead. Procrastination is very strong today. Yeah, I know all about being, about avoidance. Avoidance of tasks that need to be done. Yeah, no, actually, it's not avoidance. That's the wrong way of characterizing it. Procrastination can have multiple things. Johnny, meaning of life and everything. Yes, life, the universe, and everything. Now, that one is about to play. Mitchell, what would be really nice? Here is a feature request. This is the one. This is the one that we hear. Thanks, Johnny. 42 months. Another crap gamer. I'm putting off procrastinating until next week. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can't rush procrastination. Okay, third attempt at saying this. Feature request for Mitchell. In CastNote, in TTS, what would be really nice, in fact, I'm going to bring this up on screen. This is what this is what I see. So this is the back end of CastNote. I can see the people in the chat. There's the big list. Here is the chat that is coming on. I can see the TTS things here. And this one, your face defeats the purpose. It says blocked bad word detected. Now, firstly, I don't actually know what the bad word is in here, but that doesn't matter. That's not my feature request. My feature request is that if I manually click to play that sound, it should allow me to do it, even if the bad word is detected. So what's happening is that it's blocked from automatic playback, and I can't override it with manual playback.
@Austin_creations said, should have an authorized remote user that can override TTS when John isn't at the screen.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. What I actually need is a producer. So yeah, that is a different feature request. And see, the thing is that here I can generate audio for it, and I can play it.
Should have an authorized remote
manually because it wasn't blocked. But this one being blocked, I can't play it. There is no manual override or play. So what would be nice is if I could play on every single message, whether it was blocked or not. That's my feature request. That's all it is. Just don't apply the block filter to manual things that are clicked by the admin manually. Yeah. I'll produce. Do this, do that. Give me all your money. Oh, nerd brags. All right. A nerd Crispian. This is not really a nerd brag. You can't claim this is a nerd brag. A nerd brag week. Hosted Mum for a week and fought a bitching call together and shared it with everyone. How is that a brag? I mean, hosting your mum for a week, yeah, you can brag about that. That's good. But sharing a cold with everybody, no. Keep it to yourself. Keep those microbes to yourself. Now, where are we? That's right. We're looking at this. Then I'm just going to move something over the OBS window so that it doesn't have to render the window, which hopefully will prevent it taking up all the CPU time. It took a lot of effort. Well, not all things that take effort are worth doing. And that includes sharing colds. Ooh, Johnny says, if you use Home Assistant and want to know when John is live, what is this? I'm going to click on this. Home Assistant YouTube live integration. Ooh. And this is one of yours, is it, Johnny? Is this your project? Looks like it is. YouTube Live Home Assistant. Monitors YouTube channels for upcoming streams, shares it, creates a shared calendar with scheduled streams and a binary sensor per channel indicating whether the channel is currently live. Oh, that's cool. You know what this would be useful for? You could use this to make an on-air indicator as well. Very, very trivially, actually. So I know that this is massive overkill for making an on-air indicator, but it would actually solve that problem, which is something that I've thought about a little bit. Having something around here that lights up. I could make an on-air sign, like I could laser cut something and out of, say, red and white acrylic, do whichever way around. I could make an illuminated on-air indicator, and then it could be driven, say I stuck some LEDs in it, it could be running WLED with an ESP in it, and then we could use the binary channel sensor to turn it on and off. That would be cool. Yeah, nice. Oh, Johnny says, well, I have an on-air light using that. Yeah. So the contributors to this include both Bergdahl and Johnny Bergdahl. both of your identities. Stephen says translucent filament and 3D print it. Could be. There are many different ways it could be done. Depends whether you want to go for that retro on-air look, like on TV stations, radio stations outside the studio, so you know whether you can walk into the studio or not. The let's see, on-air light. Yeah, this sort of style, or that sort of style. Red on white or white on red. That, I like the neon sort of thing as well. Could just buy one for 18 bucks on Temu. But this is the sort of thing that's also quite easy to make. A little bit of laser cutting, make that no problem at all. Or you could use RGB LEDs behind it and make it a little bit prettier, perhaps. Yeah, I'd want it to be a little bit creative. Not necessarily just this, like a white rectangle with red letters on it that lights up. That's kind of basic. It does have that retro vibe, but it is kind of basic. I'd like to do something a little bit more funky. Okay. Johnny, nice one. Yes, cool. Oh, Paul says, Nerdbrag successfully created client and server keys and certificates with OpenSSL to test an ESP32 based CCIP Oz client. Okay. That sounds cool. See, I do not know what CCIP Oz stands for, but congratulations. Okay. Oh, Common Smart Inverter Profile. Okay. Here we go. CCIP Oz, Common Smart Inverter Profile Australia, for talking to solar inverters, home batteries, etc. All right, so you've got client and server keys and certificates. Right, so an ESP32 connected to that. Yeah. Oh, Simon pointed out, this is, I guess, in relation to the on-air sign. Take a simple requirement and make it ridiculous. Sounds good. Yeah. That. Yes. I know. It's making work. It's taking. It could just be a light in a box. That's all an on-air light needs to be, but we can make it more complicated. Jusky Maker. Johnny says, evening, Adam. Oh, Imi is here as well. Okay, welcome, Imi. So who is Jisk Maker? Jisk Maker? I don't know. That's another name that I haven't seen before. Welcome. Welcome, Jisk. Yeah, so Paul, congrats on getting the certificates and everything working on this so you can get comms up. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. I need to get myself one of these Home Assistant thingamajiggamies. Well, I have one. This right here is a Raspberry Pi running a Home Assistant thingamajiggamee. I've got to get an actual Home Assistant installation running somewhere. I'm just wondering, I've got these two little compact PCs on my desk. One of those is running Windows, I believe, because I was messing around with some ESC software that was only like distributed as a binary on for Windows, and the other one is running Ubuntu, and I can't remember what's on it. I have a vague recollection that it was that I had HAS installed on it, and I do also have HAS running in Docker on my Synology NAS, but I'm just not. It's not configured. I've just installed it, messed around with it, and that's it. Okay, how about we actually look at the project for today? Oh, Sion says, don't do HA, it's a total rabbit hole, once in you'll never get out. Yeah, that's quite possible. But I just keep coming across things where it could solve problems for me and do things that I want it to do. I want to do things that I currently do through Node-RED, or that I just don't do because whatever, I haven't done it yet. Reasons, things, time, you know. Disk maker. My old name was Alan from Denmark. Okay. So, welcome. Welcome, disk maker. Node-RED runs on HA. Okay. Okay. Home Assistant is a gateway to ESP Home, says Paul. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Chris says, you really must run a small form factor Lenovo PC with Proxmox. So reliable, fast, and can run so much else easily. Yes, I have a few of these little small form factor PCs around the place. They were leftovers from Matt's. So you've probably seen Matt in the chat at various times. Doesn't seem to be in the chat today, but he has been in the past. These were previously inside payment kiosks for laundromats, and they've been replaced by other things. Their payment kiosks now run Android head units with I think it's like a 42-inch touchscreen. So there's a portrait format 42-inch touchscreen and an Android device behind it driving it. So yeah, they ended up having a whole bunch of mini PCs that were surplus to requirements, and I have managed to finagle my way into having a whole bunch of them here, which is really handy. It's really cool just being able to grab a little PC and grab the Ubuntu installer, which I have right here for that purpose, power it up, stick Ubuntu onto it, and away we go. Tinker says surplus gear is a nasty addiction. Yeah. Okay, so let's. Tinker says I have far too many i5 machines now, and another 40 on the way. Another 40. Imagine a Beowulf cluster of those. So now there's a throwback joke. How many people here remember Beowulf clusters from back in the early 2000s sort of era? Back when clustering PCs was kind of wild and out there. Now, back to this. I did some stuff after the last stream. So the last stream, you may notice this looks a bit different to what it did last time. Camera brackets, Beetlebot. I'm going to close that to give myself some more room. Tinker says I did clustering in the 90s. Yeah. You did it on hard mode. Yep. Yeah. I did. I didn't do clustering. Well, by some definitions I did. Back in the 90s, I did failover, like web server clusters with front-end proxies and load sharing. So DNS round robining and all sorts of those sorts of things. And what else did I do clustering with? I did clustered file systems like Gluster, Gluster FS. So file server arrays with clustered file systems. But that wasn't until, when would it have been? Early 2000s, I think. It wasn't in the 90s. Yeah, but the clustered web servers I definitely did in the 90s. Running Squid in front of them as a reverse proxy. And there was some other reverse proxy that I ran as well. Can't remember what. Yeah, there is you can do the really basic. Ooh, stop, coffee time, says Tassie Bob. Ooh. Don't mind if I do. Thanks, Tassie Bob. Thank you, Tassie Bob. Coffee time. That's actually a really generous. I only really stopped to look at that amount. Tassie Bob, what are you doing? That is a very, very generous super chat, which is probably why it came up in bright orange. I don't think I've ever seen an orange one before. Maybe I have. I can't remember. It's not normal though. Look at this. There it is in the chat. Bright orange super chat. Okay. Tassie, thank you. So, I'm going to give you a brief recap. Here we go. Let's start. What we've got is, haven't really changed anything much in the schematic, only a little bit. What I did was, I added these two headers, and I haven't actually finished patching through all the signals and things. I just put the headers there, haven't even linked grounds and stuff, because this, I'll get to that part. In fact, we might do that today. We shall see. So this is for connecting the ESP32 cam. Now, if you remember, cast your mind back to the early discussions of this project. The point with this was to, move on from this design, which is the Lollybot design. Is there a password on there? No, that's all right, I can show it. So this is the Lollybot design, which has the PCB chassis, motors mounted on top. It's got a Lowland 32 light as the brains, driving two H bridges which drive the two motors with an onboard battery. This is the front, this is the back, drives along, joo. Okay, now what I want to do is replace that with a system that has two processors on it. And the only reason for the two processors is that we want to add a camera onto the front of the robot. So we're going to have one ESP32 that does the outputs. It's going to drive H bridges, move the chassis around. So that is how we drive the robot, is through one of the ESP32s. Then we want to have a camera on the front, and in the short term, the simple way to do that is to use an ESP32 cam, which we're about to look at, which is a little module with a tiny camera on it. In fact, why don't I show you ESP32 cam? They are these things. And look at this ridiculous price, and there's probably shipping on it. What? Hang on. No, oh, that's the download board. Okay. So ESP cam M32 cam MB340C. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at this one, just as an example. So this is a $10-ish board, including shipping, that has an ESP32 on it. Not that. That's the serial. Okay, I'm going to explain this a little bit more. It has an ESP32 on it, and it has this camera. So this is a very poor quality camera, but yeah, we're not taking glamour shots with this for for a magazine. It's got the ESP32, the camera, it's got an SD card slot and some pin headers. It does not have a USB on it, despite this, because this board on the right is a separate board which has got a CH340 on it, USB to serial converter and a USB-C connector. So what you can do is use the board on the left on its own. Which board is that? Here we go. Yeah, this is a better view. But you use this board on its own. This is the one with the processor and the camera. Or you plug it into this carrier board, which means that you have USB that you can plug into it. Now, my intention with this is to not use the carrier board. The carrier board is handy if you want to program them standalone. You just plug a cable into it, you have the module in the carrier board, and everything is good. Life is unicorns and rainbows. But you can also just use this on its own. My plan is to use this board directly onto the Beetlebot chassis and then pass serial comms through to the appropriate pins on here and power to it, obviously. So the question is, how do you physically mount this and get the geometry so that the camera is in the right place? This is something that has been debated through the ages. It's, yeah, the ancient philosophers were at odds on this. They could not decide whether ESP32 cams, if it was mounted vertically, if it should be connected vertically with the camera at the top, or invert it with the camera at the bottom, which meant that you could have a USB cable plugged in to the top if you wanted to, or should it be rotated sideways, in which case the clearance is better, it doesn't stick up as much, but the camera is offset from the center. And also, how do you put the connectors in place to mount it so that this is at right angles to the main carrier PCB? So, yes, the ancient philosophers could not agree on a solution. And I've come up with an idea which may be a stupid idea, and we're about to find out. We are going to put it to the test. Now, this is my idea. You see the camera just here. In this picture, you can see that the camera is kind of just flapping in the breeze. It's got the ribbon cable here, the FFC cable that is going into this connector on the board, and the camera is not attached. The cable sort of pushes it down against the top of the SD card cage, but you can move it around. What generally happens is that people use a bit of double-sided tape or a dab of glue or something, and they stick the camera in that current position just straight down onto the SD card cage. And then you've got a camera that is pointing straight up from the PCB. So you orient the whole thing so that you have the camera pointing in the right direction. Okay. Then my idea was, if you look at where the camera is right now, what happens if you simply bend it up so that it's vertical above the PCB and facing off to the left from this point of view? Can we mount it somewhere that allows us to put the ESP32 cam PCB horizontally, just plug it into the carrier PCB and still have the camera pointing directly forwards? Can we? Can we? Maybe we can. Maybe with something like this. So, this I designed and printed. So this is all stuff I've done since the last stream. And this thing, the purpose of this thing, is that it's a bracket that glues onto the top of the SD card cage, and then the camera, so this little guide here, this fits onto the back of the SD card thing, and you push it on so that gets the alignment correct. If we're looking at it from the side here, what we would be, this area right here that I've highlighted, right there, that is where the SD card holder would be. So it hooks onto the edge of it, you glue it down onto the top of the holder, and then this face right here is for the camera. So the camera comes off, the little FFC cable bends up, and the camera glues onto this face. And because of this being a straight line here, butted up against the SD card cage, that forces the alignment, it forces this to be square onto the board, which means that the camera is going to be exactly horizontal from the PCB, and it is going to be exactly, if you look at, imagine looking from the back of the PCB, it's going to be looking straight down on the PCB from here. It's going to be aligned pointing forwards. So let's see how that turns out. This is step one in a series of reveals of things that I have already done and have not yet necessarily tested. Oh, I've got to turn that camera on. I totally forgot about that one when I was setting up this morning. I have my box of ESP32, ESP32 cams here, including this one, which we will get under, where will we do it? Under here. Oh, I should zoom way in for this. Will I, won't I? Yeah, I will. I'm going to zoom way in, which is going to require.
Here's one I baked earlier.
Yep. Here's one I baked earlier. So I'm going to get focus sorted on that. About there. Exit focus assist. So what you can see is this yellow thing is the 3D printed version of what I just showed you on the screen. The little ridge is under here. If I grab my trusty pointer, the little ridge is just under there, butted against the back of the SD card. This is glued on just with some of that Loctite gel glue, so it's pretty secure. This face is where the camera will go, and you can see the camera here is just sort of flapping around. Now, the general plan with this is that the camera will be glued onto this face so that it is just pointing straight forward. Now, this is the big unknown. I have a vertical constraint. I will show you this constraint in CAD in a couple of minutes. For now, I'm not going to explain it. You just have to trust me on it, and you will see why in a minute. There is a vertical constraint on the space that we have here, and the top of this bracket is the top of the constraint. We can't be any higher than that point. So the camera needs to butt onto the front of this and be pushed down slightly so that it is flush with the top of this mounting bracket. So this raises a possible problem with the field of view of the camera. And this is what we're about to find out. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the experiment. What I don't know is if this camera is glued into this position, and if we look at, what can I use? What can I use? Okay, I'm going to use this. I'll use the bottom of the box so that it's not visible because, come on, get in there, because it would annoy me. So we've got the camera attached to the bracket, which is on the PCB like that, with the headers sticking down underneath. Brilliant artwork. Now the camera is going to have a field of view. The question is, right there, is the field of view going to intersect the corner of the PCB? And if it does it actually matter? Is it enough to be a problem, or will the field of view clearing the PCB give us enough of a view of the front of looking out from the robot to be able to see what we need to see? So that is what I want to find out looking straight down on here, if that is there, imagine the light ray coming from the bottom of the camera out here. Is it going to touch the edge of this PCB? So I figured that we just connect it up and see what happens. So if this works, this is going to be a very easy solution to mounting the camera, because printing and gluing this on is very easy. Just stick the camera on there, bada bing, and we're done. And I really like that because...
Tinker001 said, those cameras are easily available with different length flat cables.
Oh yes, that's a good point. So just in case you couldn't hear it, what Tinker just said is that these cameras are very easily available. I think it's like an OVF something. I can't remember the part number. Very easily available with different length flat cables. So one option is to simply make a version with buy a camera with a longer flat cable, and then we could mount this wherever we want it. It could be mounted on the front of the bot and have the rest of it somewhere else. So that's true. Yes, Tinker, thanks for pointing that out. Now, one of the constraints with this, one of the design constraints, is allowing for other people to also be replicating this. So if I don't mind doing things like buying an alternative camera and replacing it on here, but that is one extra little barrier to someone else who is building one of these bots. It'd be nice if you could just order an ESP32 cam and use it pretty much as is, just by mounting the camera like this, and not have to buy this plus another camera. Now, the reason, okay, now I'm going to, before I actually get to powering this up, I'm going to explain the reason that I want to mount it like this. So, switching back to CADtastic, we've got Beetlebot assembly. Oh, I showed you something prematurely. This, so the PCB, I showed you the headers that I added here as placeholders that that don't have the nets connected.
@Paul_Schultz said, what's under the ESP32 CAM writing?
What's under the, okay, let's see, what is under that writing? Oh, it's the antenna is the short answer, Paul. So switching back to here, you can, yeah, so your question was, what's under the ESP32 cam writing? And my assumption is that you're asking, can we just cut that off? Are there any components under there? There are no components on the carrier PCB, but on the bottom, it's got the Vroom module, and you can see that the PCB antenna protrudes past there. So one thing that could be done is to cut off this part of the carrier PCB. We could score it with a knife along the top, just a line along here, and then snap it off by bending it away from this PCB, which would then gain us a little bit, but you would still see the back of this PCB underneath. So Paul, yeah, that was a good question, and it is there is a possibility that something could be gained from that, but it's not as clean as you might have first thought of just cutting the end of that board off. Yeah, so this is the orientation of the bot, and it's got a couple of changes. Now, you will see there are some holes in it. There's this little thing on the back here, which I'll explain in a minute. And these are the two connectors for the ESP32 cam. And you can see that I've aligned them pointing directly towards the front of the bot. And it is set up so that you can plug the ESP32 cam straight down into it. And if the camera is mounted as I was showing on this bracket, the camera will be right about here, pointing directly forward off to the right here. And what this would allow is for us to have the main chassis PCB with the connectors. You get an off-the-shelf ESP32 cam and just plug it in and mount the camera on that little guide. Now, okay, I was talking about the vertical clearance constraints. So I have a project here. You can see it's called brackets V13. So brackets. As I was working on this, I was figuring that I needed a way to mount the motors. And so I started by by setting up, all right, my original idea was I'm going to make a 3D printed bracket that will attach to the PCB and that the motor will attach to. The way it was done on here was cable ties. You can see on here there is a cable tie that goes around the motor, around the body, and there's another cable tie going through a tab at the front. So the motor itself can move a little bit. It's pretty good. It's a pretty decent way of attaching things, but it was all done with cable ties, which I could do again. That was my original plan, but I thought I wanted to go a little bit fancier than that. And on the bottom of the PCB you can see that there is a slot here, and the cable tie goes around the outer edge of the PCB across here through the slot up around the motor, and then there is a double slot just here for the other cable tie that goes through the, oops, that way, through the front tab. So what I did, this was the sequence. I opened Fusion with the intention of designing a bracket that would mount the motor here, and the bracket would basically be a block.
At Austins_creations said, I used a 3D printed mount and bolts to mount those motors.
Ooh, cool. Nice one, Austin. Oh, and Tinker's comment, which should be coming.
Can't mount the motors until cable T shows up in the chat though.
Yeah, that's right. Cable tie's not here. Cobletti, we need Cobletti in the chat. And then we can mount the motors. Yeah, so my plan was a couple of 3D printed brackets. And what actually happened, how this went down, is that I started by, in Fusion, doing a sketch which was a projection of the outline of the PCB so that I could make the brackets fit the PCB perfectly. And so I began by doing this shape and then just extruding it so that I could then carve out the bits that I didn't want and leave just the brackets. And as I was doing it, I realized I could just make the whole body like that. And I ended up with this. So this is a 3D printed bracket that has mounts for the motors. So you can see that there are holes here for bolts to mount the motors, one on each side. This hole is for clearance for the back side of the axle, because the motors have an axle that goes through them and sticks out on both sides. We have a wheel on one side and there's nothing on the other side, but the other side is still there, so this is a clearance for it to go through. Then there is, the back of the motor comes here. In a moment you're going to see all of this for real. There is clearance in the back here for concealed wiring for the motor power. This is looking from the back of the bot towards the front, and you can see this cavity in here. This cavity is for a battery, so that we can, there's going to basically be a hole in the back of the bot, and you can slide a battery in and then retain it with rubber bands, which is what these shapes are for. But I'll get back to that in a minute. Not that, that. Okay, then we have this cavity in the front. So as you can see, I started with the outline. This outline was projected from the PCB dimensions, from the cut layer, the milling layer. So it is a perfect match to the PCB outline. And you can see the holes in it here are also based on projections from the holes in the PCB. So those holes, you can see there are 6 of them, 3 on each side, there, there, and there. If we look at the PCB, they are an exact match to these holes, but they are smaller. The holes in the PCB are, what are they? 2.4 millimeters, and the holes in the plastic are smaller. They're like 1.7 or something, 1.8, so that 2 millimeter self tappers can be used. So if we have a look at this one, oops. Oh, those shortcuts don't work on physical mode. What have we got? We've got 1.6 millimeter holes. Okay, so 2 millimeter self tappers will go through the PCB and into the plastic. No, I didn't want to sketch. Okay, so go through the PCB and into the plastic to mount the PCB on the bottom of this bracket. And the PCB will then form the bottom part of the cavity where the battery goes in. Then the ESP32 cam goes on the front right here. And it was at this point that I was looking at brackets and how to mount the camera and how to mount the whole ESP32 cam. And that was when I decided, hey, why not put it in horizontally and then angle the camera to bring it forward. And that's what we're about to test. So this sort of thing is the PCB. Is this out of date? It doesn't have the connectors visible. I wonder if, or is this out of date? One of my, no. Where is the 3D representation? Yeah, okay. Interesting. I wonder why I have those hidden in there. If I have a look in here, what have I got? Solder mask packages. Oh, okay. I just hid it so that these ones would disappear. So you can see the two headers in there for the ESP32 cam to mount. So I'm going to have to carve a hole out of the front of this for the ESP32 cam and for its camera. You can see here that there is a cavity. Now these motors are not exactly in their right place, I think, in this model. Yeah, I moved a couple of things. They need to move. Oh no, that's right, the models aren't quite accurate. The way these work is that this hole is aligned with the hole in the motor. But the thing is that this 3D model that I imported of the motor and the wheel assembly is not entirely accurate. It's actually sitting slightly further back because on the real thing, the holes through the motor are very slightly further forward, which means the whole thing sits further back. It looks like it's jammed up against the front here and like there's a big cavity at the back. It's actually pretty even in real life, like when it's physically printed. Right, I have some iterations here. Which one was one? Yes. So this was the first one I printed, which had a few issues. I needed to adjust some clearances around here to make the motors more stable. There wasn't enough room here, and the motors tended to twist in this way because the mounting holes were right up close to the edge. So this was iteration 2, and I extended the support, increased clearance around the front of the motor, made a couple of other minor changes, and this is iteration 3, which has more clearance around the front of the motors. It's got clearance at the back so that the wires to the motors can be concealed. Almost concealed anyway. They will go onto the PCB, onto little connectors or something inside that gap. So that is where we need to put the motor output wires on the PCB. And apart from that, it all does what it should. So if we look at, so this is the Lollybot, basically overlay that with that. Imagine that the Lollybot PCB is we don't have the real PCBs yet, but imagine the Lollybot PCB is the PCB that goes on this. It'll screw on, and you can see the outline of the PCB following around here. And this PCB has squarer edges at the front, but imagine that the PCB was rounded off so that it matched the contour of the plastic, and that is essentially what we would have as a little sandwich. So it's coming along. This is the reality of this concept. Now, this gets us back to the ESP32 cam. Oh yeah, sorry, and explaining here. So what's going to happen is that there will be a top deck as well screwed into the top. We've got the PCB, which is forming the base. Then we're going to have an identical shape on top, which will probably be laser cut acrylic. but it could also be another PCB. I've been very seriously thinking about this. What I could do is design a second PCB which is mechanically identical to this one. So we'd have a bottom PCB and a top PCB. And the top PCB would have locations for mounting of the arm that sits on top of it. So it might have holes, like screw holes through it for mounting the bracket for the arm on the top. It could have electrical connections. We could pass through from the bottom up to the top. We could have some connectors for the power and control of whatever external things are added onto this. Like if we add a robotic arm onto it, we're going to need power and control. They could be brought out to connectors. So I think what I'm probably going to do is, for my very first iteration, just to get this done quickly, is I'm going to order the bottom PCBs, and I'm just going to laser cut the exact same shape out of acrylic and screw it into the top. And that'll get us a little platform that can drive around with nothing attached on the top of it. And then that'll allow us to do testing of the basic movement functionality, like the motor control and the camera. And then while that is happening, and while the software people are doing their magic with this, I can then move on to designing the PCB that goes on top, which could be optional. I mean, what you could do is you could build the bot with just a plain top cover, or you could build it with the PCB top cover, which gives you extra things. And we could also have multiple PCB top covers. So we could have one PCB top cover that is suitable for mounting a robotic arm onto. You might have a different PCB top cover which is designed for a LiDAR. So it's got the correct mounting holes and pinouts and all of that sort of thing. TTS being dumb again. Design the top plate. Oh no, I think it just hasn't caught up.
At Tinker001 said, various optional top PCBs.
Optional diamond cutting disc. Okay. Yeah, it was just taking a while. So design the top plate as a grid of M3 circles. Becomes a pegboard of sorts. Yes. Yeah, and Tinker said various optional top PCBs. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't paying attention to chat. You are definitely thinking along the right lines.
@Austins_creations said, design the top plate as a grid of M3 circles. Becomes a pegboard of sorts.
Yep. Metricano for development. Yes. So Paul said, top cover needs to have 10mm center M3 holes, Metricano for development. And where else was there? There was another comment. Paul said, also there are also 2 outside diameter of wheel axle, and you need the smaller one to fit the steering knuckles or design a new print. Okay. Yep. And Wagonload says, why not make a right angle ESP32 cam PCB so the ESP32 cam plugs into the front end? That way the square box can hold the base of the robot arm. Yeah, that was my original plan. That's actually what I was going to do. So I had got to the point of designing this and printing it. I'd already gone through these iterations and got to this point, and I was looking at the front of this thinking I wanted to flatten it off and make a way of mounting the ESP32 cam on it. And that was when I decided I would investigate doing it this way instead, with the headers this way, so that the ESP32 cam plugs in there. Now it's not going to get in the way of other things, because if it's plugged in there, and also the height, this is where I was talking about the vertical clearance. So if we look at that distance, that is 23mm. That's the thickness of the 3D print, which is based on the thickness of the motors. Now it doesn't need to be. You could make it thicker, but it's just a sensible sort of thing. We don't want to make it too thick either. So if that's 23mm, and then these connectors are typically 8 or 8.6mm high, by the time you add the plastic on the bottom of the pin headers, and then the ESP32 cam, then the SD cage, and then the bracket on top of it, that ends up being 23 millimeters high. It fits perfectly under there with the camera attached. So then, yeah, so maybe later I'll end up designing a different way of doing the camera. But for now, this is a very quick way of getting to an end result. So, and that's basically where I left it. It was at the point where there is no point progressing with this design until I know what the field of view issues are with the camera. Disc Maker said, how about 2 pink LEDs as lights on the vehicle? Yeah, well, there could be lots of LEDs, RGB LEDs or something. Yeah, some illumination. It probably should have headlights or something. Grant says, how does the camera see through the wall, or am I missing something? No, you're not missing anything. What I need to do is carve out the middle part of this. So this wall will be missing. You can see the width of the camera module from here. It'll actually protrude out to about the front point here. And I'm just going to have to chop a rectangle out of this so that it can see through. But before I do that, this is the thing. This is all a bit unknown right now.
001 said, prying the pin spacers from the ESP32 cam board would give you an extra 2.5 millimeters of height clearance.
That is an excellent point. So if you couldn't hear that, Tinker said prying the pin spacers from the ESP32 cam board would give you an extra 2.5 millimeters of height clearance. Yes, that is an excellent point. And there are also low profile sockets that you can get. And the other thing I could do is not use sockets. What I could do is just put the ESP32 cam straight into the holes and solder it on from the bottom. And then it would be elevated by 2.5 millimeters, which is the thickness of the plastic spacers above the PCB. And that actually may be best, because the thing is that if you look at the camera bracket, all of this is sitting above the ESP32 cam, which occupies sort of, whoops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a, no, that is not at all what I wanted. Can I do a selection? In fact, why is that selection mode doing that? What has happened? Create. I must have hit some, yeah, weird. I must have hit some selection mode. Fit, zoom, look at. I don't even know how that, grid and snaps, viewports. I don't even know how I got into that selection mode. All right, let's try it this way. If I go from there to there, there, there. Okay, kind of there is about where the ESP32 cam board is. So, and this is butted up against the top cover, which means the camera is not in the center of that cavity, it's right at the top, which means that the top cover would need to have a rebate to give the camera a better field of view, or that the top of the field of view is going to be cut off entirely, which may not be such a problem. But step one is power up an ESP32 cam, see what happens. Wagonline says, can you use a cell phone zoom lens to poke the lens through a front hole? Maybe. Yeah, I don't want to change the field of view too much though, because the bot does need a reasonable field of view in order to drive around and find things, and to recognize characteristics in its environment for the machine learning system to deal with. So I don't want to give it too much of like a telephoto tunnel vision sort of effect. I want to keep it a reasonable field of view. Now, I think I need to actually do this. What is going on with that? I don't know. I don't know. There is a USB to serial converter there. All right, let's do some actual stuff. Oh, and Disc Maker says you can get different lenses for that cam on Ali. Yeah. Oh, TTS will catch up. Okay, back to here. Let's do some actual stuff. Now, what I want to do is connect. Do I need USB? I don't think I necessarily do. I really just need power on this, and it should start up as an access point. So if I just grab some jumpers and get one of my lab supplies up to speed, we should be able to power it up very easily, and then look for the AP, connect to it, and maybe get some joy that way. But that means I need to find jumpers. This is my little jumper cache. Oh yeah, this'll do. I need to go pin to socket. I only need 2 of them. So these 2 connected to power on this. Where is power on that? There is 5 volts ground. So I think it's these 2. Those 2 should be 5 volts. Yep. Looks good. Okay. I've never actually powered this one up. This is brand new. Brand new, like 5 years old, or however old. And I don't know what firmware is on it. What I'm hoping is that it's going to have some firmware that is half vaguely sensible. Get out of that. Got to set the lab supply to some sensible amount. Let's give it 5 volts, 1 amp. And we'll power it up. Now we're super zoomed in, but that's okay. All right, and power on. Do we get any indication? Well, it's pulling 160 milliamps, so it must be on and running, must have its Wi-Fi up. Now I'm going to, I'll give it just a moment to boot, so it should be booting. Then I'm going to look for it from my phone, see if I can connect to it. But I'm going to have my phone slightly off camera, just in case. While I connect, and we'll see if, yeah, it looks like it hasn't come up yet. See if this updates, because I think what these do is come up as an access point so that you can configure their Wi-Fi. I may be wrong about that. It could be that I've got to configure it through serial or some other method. Hang on, what was that one that just came up? I don't think it was the one I'm looking for. Yeah, there's a TP-Link something somewhere. That's not me though, and it's not this. Weird thing is, TP-Link is the strongest network here. Stronger than Superhouse. Why is that so weak? Maybe I'm connected to the AP down the back of the factory instead of the one that's just close. I think TP-Link might be next door. Alright, it looks like we might have to actually do some USB serial shenanigans to figure out what's going on with this. It doesn't seem to be going into AP mode. Is there a way we can put it into AP mode? There's a reset button. Resetting it multiple times might do it, but that depends on the firmware. ESP32 cam. Okay, let's have a quick look at an ESP32 cam getting started sort of thing. My SSID. Oh, mine had no software on them. I have 3. Says Jiski. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back to here in just a moment. ESP32 cam. Yeah, the ones that I've got, so I've got a few of them, and I am pretty sure that out of the box they had some demo firmware on them. So ESP32 cam for beginners. Let's see what it says. supplies, introduction to that. Let's skip through this. And does not have a USB port. Yep. Preparing the Arduino IDE for programming. Okay, so this is suggesting that you need to flash it with something. Attach according to that. Okay. Oh, I wonder what that is. That's probably putting it into bootloader mode. I bet that's something like ground and IO0. Do all of that. Store them in a folder. And that. Fake Wi-Fi credentials. Alright. It's a little bit sad that you have to do all of this. I thought that it would have something out of the box. Let's start by hooking up the USB serial board so that we can at least see if there's anything booting on it, which would be, you know, step 0 before we, and we've got to do that anyway. If we're going to reflash it, then we need to.
Instructables is still around.
Instructables, it is. So I'm okay. What do I need to do? I need to leave that open. All right, we've got TX and RX, which is which? And Y. Okay, so TX out of there is going onto there and reset. Okay, so it's got a reset connection as well. We may not need that. In fact, I don't think we do. For a USB to serial converter, that's probably, yeah, that's just so that both boards reset at the same time. We're not even doing that at the moment. We're going to be using a USB to serial converter. Let's move over to here and do it for real. Ooh, this one. This is one that I've had running in the past. Let's see what happens with this. Turn that one off and connect power to this one. So this one was previously connected to the USB to serial adapter. So I've just turned that one on. I suspect this one is not going to come up as an access point. It may have some other firmware on it because it was being used to do stuff. And on this one, the camera is glued down. But we might get lucky. So it's worth a shot. I'll see if it's come up on an AP. I'm not seeing it. Other? New. Update, update. No. I suspect that the firmware on these does not support being an AP. So I'm going to switch this cable over. Use the other jumper wires on this one because this is the one where I want to check the field of view. So we're going to go, where is it? Ground and 5 volts. These two. And then I want TX and RX, which are where? Come on, your eyes must be better than mine. You what? I don't know. I don't understand what that means. The labels on this sort of thing are weird. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at the pinout on this. Oh no, I've got the. Is it that way? Yeah, so that's reset. RXD. I'm just going to attach these two and then I'll figure out the colours at the other end. So it goes into the second and third along on this side. That should be TX and RX, which means that the grey one here, which is this one, is going to TX. Yeah, you can't see what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the pinout diagram. So that is going to TX on the USB to serial converter. and TX is there. So that's TX out. This one is RX in, goes to there.
At Austin's_creations said, Arduino has an example sketch that you upload and edit with Wi-Fi info. It is what I did when I ordered mine way back when.
Nice, thanks Austin. And V out coming from there for 5 volts to power it. Okay, so we have this wired with this, and then we can connect to it from Arduino IDE to flash it or see what is going on with it in general. So I need a USB cable, that one, and I'll plug this into the hub on my bench. There we go, powered up. So hopefully this will now be booting. If there is anything on it, we will see. Let's find out. Okay, while I'm waiting for Arduino IDE to boot, what is going on with the chat? Okay, Wagon Load says I programmed my ESP32 cam with a USB FTDI UART adapter and 4 wires. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing right now. And what else? Okay, I feel it is time for a little bit more of this icy coffee. Make sure it dumps credentials to serial on boot, says Stephen. Yeah, that would be good. Sorry, Arduino IDE is still opening. It takes ages because it has to, yeah, each of the things that it opens. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. What have we got? Do we have a serial port available? Oh, come on, Arduino, open the menu. Yes, we have 2 serial ports available. That's a worry. What else do I have plugged in? I do not want to flash the wrong device. What else is plugged in? Somewhere around, I have some other device plugged in. Oh, there it is. Okay, I've got another USB serial device plugged in over there. I'm going to disconnect that one. Too many things on the bus. And let's see what port we have now. Okay, now we have a port. And open. I am going to hit reset while you can't see, just in case it does dump credentials or something to the bus. I'm not getting anything on serial comms, which is interesting. I would expect to get at least a startup message of some kind. All right, I'm going to try. The pins on the bus go high and low, high and low. Okay, let's find the
If you have fewer
example.
than 16 devices connected, you're a slacker.
Yeah, I have fewer than 16 devices connected. Yep. Well, I had 4 serial devices connected, plus all of the other things. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 USB hubs plugged into this computer with multiple things in each hub. So I don't know how many things I have on the bus at the moment, but it's a few. All right, where is the example for this, the ESP32 cam? Now, I need to grab, what I need to do is come back to here. How to use ESP32 cam for beginners. Where is the code? All right, Austin, do I just grab the code from here, or is there somewhere else that you recommend? Camera web server edited 23232323. Download all of these. Oh, come on. Couldn't they have given us a zip file? Examples menu. Yeah, but where? There is a very big examples menu. If we go to, like if I just bring Arduino IDE up here so you can see it. I've clicked, waiting for it to open its menu. Come on, come on. I have clicked the file menu, open Arduino IDE, you piece of rubbish. You'll get there eventually. Come on, Java, do your thing. Okay, now examples. Where is the ESP32 cam? Now first thing I'll do is, actually I'm going to change, okay, come on. Here we go, hands off, waiting for it. Okay, I'm going to change this to ESP32 Rover Kit. Is that the one? I think that's what the README said. ESP32 Rover module. That one. I think that's what this says. One day, John will start using Platform IO. You will be pleased to know that I am using Platform IO in VS Code for a project at the moment.
At Tinker001 said, one day, John will start using Platform IO.
Yeah. So, ESP32 Rover module. Yes, okay. So I've selected, oh come on, here we go. Hands up, everyone has to have their hands up while it opens the menu. Okay, ESP32 Rover module. The port is selected. Just leave all those normal, I guess. So come to File, Examples. Okay, hands up, everybody wait for Arduino to decide to wake up and open the menu. You can get there, you can do it, stupid little piece of software. Come on. Okay, open the menu. Now, where do I, oh no. Now the chat is in the background, which means that I can't see, which means I've got to get off this menu, which means I've got to open it again. Oh, all right. Examples. Is there an ESP32 cam example somewhere in here? That's all from custom libraries, so hopefully not there. Communication, control, sensors, nope. Display, nope. Alright, I'm going to go back into the chat. I'm going to bring the chat to the foreground. ESP32 camera. Oh, ESP32 camera. Alright. File. Examples.
At Austin's_creations said, especially 32 camera.
ESP32 camera. I do not see anything. Oh, ESP32. Oh, there, that ESP32. Oh, that's a, okay. Cool, I guess. Thank you, Austin. I would not have found that. I would not have expected it to just be in a thing called ESP32. So it has credentials, it has stuffs, camera config. Yeah, okay. Now, what I'm going to do is a Wi-Fi connecting. It does not display credentials. So, what I'm going to do, first thing, step one, I'm just going to see if this example compiles. No changes, not setting the SSID or anything. And if it compiles, I am then going to set the credentials off camera and upload it. And we'll see if it works. If it will upload. Oh, John Whips is here. I just saw it in the list. I don't know if I missed any messages from John. But John, welcome to the chat. Thank you for coming along. All right. One process every 15 seconds, says Crispian. Read my last comment. It tells you by name what board is in your Wi-Fi list, says Wagon Loads. Okay, going back. Wi-Fi.hostname, Wi-Fi ID, board name now shows on hotspot. Ah, okay. This is taking a while to compile. It's got to compile all the underlying libraries and things as well because none of it is cached. It has to build the whole stack. Alright, now while that's doing that, let's look at this. I'm going to copy Wi-Fi hostname, blah, load, board. I'm going to copy Wagon Loads' comment directly. Done compiling it, it did compile. And we are going to put it in. Let's see if we can zoom to make it easier to see on screen here. Okay, so we've got that. We set all of that. PS RAM, camera module, camera it failed stuff. Done. Now we've got Wi-Fi begin, Wi-Fi connecting, Wi-Fi connected. We've got start camera. Let's do this. Wi-Fi.hostname, board name now shows on hotspot. Okay, but in this particular case, we're not doing it as a hotspot. We're doing it as connecting to an Wi-Fi.hostname Wi-Fi. Board name now shows on hotspot. Does that mean that when it's acting as a client, so it's not being an AP itself, when it is connecting to a network, which is what this is doing, it'll use, yes, its own host name as that. Okay. Yeah. Which means it's not actually when it's being a hotspot, it's when it's connecting to a host. So SSID.parseLine. Where is the SSID.parseLine? It is back up here. Oh, no, it wasn't. Where is it? SSID.parseLine. Yeah, this is not being an SSID though. This is being a client connecting to my office network. So it'll have its own host name. Wi-Fi status, serial print, Wi-Fi connecting, Wi-Fi begin. I would expect that it'd go here. Compile completed, yes. Oh, okay, not needed. Literally prints to serial what you need to do once it connects. And const char Wi-Fi ID equals blah, BME 280 shows on hotspot, put this at the top of the code. Okay, all right, I'm not going to keep messing around with that. I just want to get this thing on the network so I can see it. So let's try this. Read last line. Okay. Austin says, no, don't edit the code other than the SSID password at the top. Oh, yeah, that's true. I have to edit that. I'm uploading it currently with the dodgy one with the asterisks. So I'm going to edit that, and then I'm going to re-upload this. Superhouse, and here I am, doxing myself. Okay, I'm going to try again. All right, it is compiling. I have scrolled the SSID and password off the screen, so I've just got to remember not to scroll. I'm living dangerously. But it is compiling. Will it upload? We don't know if we can even upload to this target yet. It may not work through. Ooh, yeah, that's not a good sign. That should have done this. I wonder if I've got TX and RX swapped. Yeah, fatal error. Okay, I'm going to try swapping TX and RX on this board, which is these two. Because I should have got something out of it when I was pressing reset earlier. Oh, come on. Coordinate. Coordinate, Johnny. Yeah, I should have got something out of it when I pressed reset earlier, when I had the console open. I'm going to try again. Might also need to be in download mode. Yeah, true. That's true. I should bridge IO0.
_creations said, might also need to be in download mode.
Yeah, it probably isn't because I don't have RTS connected to reset. I could just connect that. That would be a solution. Crispian says, is it time for bed already? Maybe. Yeah, and Stephen says you aren't controlling IO0 or reset. Yeah, I brain farted on that one. I kind of got so used to have that being taken care of for me
already
that I was not even paying attention. So where's a suitable Chunko wire? One of these could do it. So I think what I'm going to do in the first instance is I'm going to connect RTS from the USB serial converter to reset so that we've got auto control of the reset line. And if that doesn't work, I'm just going to, poke it in the brain. I'll short IO0 to ground, force it into bootloader mode, which I shouldn't have to do so back to here, which I shouldn't have to do. I'm going to change these back because I think these probably were the correct way around the first time. And then where's IO0 on this little board? IO0 on this side. 214 ground. Come on, can't find it. Where? Oh, IO0 is there. Okay, so I need IO0 control and I need reset control. So IO0 goes to there. I think it's 0. It's very hard to tell if it's 0 or 8, but then that's why God invented microscopes. So it is, yes, it is IO0. So IO0 goes to RTS, or CTS in this case. And, oh yeah, we're not, oh yeah, okay. I think I'm going to have to do this. Tinker is messaging me. Yeah. About me doxing myself. No, okay, I've got to slow down and actually think about this. What do I need? CTR, that needs to go to reset. Okay, that goes to reset, and then I'm going to bridge IO0 to ground. So where is reset? Reset is where? Yeah, where is reset? Is reset even exposed on these pins? Surely it is. What is that? VORUOT. Okay. I'm going to look up. Oh, what? Railway tap. Pete. It's not that awesome because I am screwing up royally. Okay, I have a new plan. What I'm going to do, here is my new plan. I am going to bridge IO0 to ground, which is this one, and then I'm going to press reset, and that is going to stick this into bootloader mode. Where can I find a reliable ground? How about there? I'll jam it in there and press reset. We should put it into, oops, I'll try that again. I'm going to hold that there, press reset. Okay, so it should be in bootloader mode now. Now, let's give it another shot. Try uploading again. Upload. Do it. Please, please, please. Pete, thank you for the super chat. Ah, very cool. Paul says the jumper for reset looks to go to adjacent pins. Yeah, reset is a button on the ESP32 cam, says Amanda. Yeah. Account works on the phone, just desktop stuffed. Oh, right. That's Pete talking about his alt, etc. Yeah. So, looks like, so this is interesting. ESP32 cam pinout. What do we got? Is there a reset anywhere here? I don't think there is. There is no reset exposed on the headers. So we've got power rails, we've got multiple grounds. What would have been nice is if one of these grounds had got reassigned to be reset. We've got IO0 exposed at least, so we can force it into bootloader mode. So we've got an error on upload. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to try two things. I'm going to decrease the upload speed.
001 said, that's just silly.
Yeah, that is just silly. I'm going to decrease the upload speed, just cause. And I'll reset your face, says Pete.
At RelWareTech said, we'll reset your face.
Yeah. And do you have RxTX reverse, says Tinker? Yeah, I'm just going to try switching those back around again and see if that makes a difference. So we'll take...
001 said, you have RX Texas reversed.
I may have. So I'm going to turn that around, plug it back in. I'm going to do the bootloader reset dance again. Where's the button? Oh, now I've got to plug this back into IO0. IO0, it's the third one along, that one. So that is IO0. And why isn't that? This is just falling off. I suspect that this jumper is not even making electrical contact. There, rubbish, rubbish. So, I'm gonna find another one. Yeah, I'll use one of these. Here we go. Where is IO0 now? There. I'm going to take that one, plug it into IO0. Oh, and this is just, what is with this? It's just loose. These jumpers are falling off. Oh, that one actually plugged in properly. Okay, so it's possible that a moment ago when I was trying, I simply hadn't put it into bootloader mode. All right, I'm bridging IO0 to ground, press reset, let go of reset, let go of the ground. Okay, it's in boot, should be in bootloader mode now. Oh, Pete says, is he going to say it? It says, Pete says, hey John, you coming down for winter? First seasonal snow on the mountain today, woohoo! Oh, okay. I could come and visit you down in Tassie to go and play in the snow. That'd be fun. Okay, Wagonload says, I have a KiCad diagram for the ESP32 cam programmer, just 4 wires. Send me the link where I can upload it. Yeah, it is just 4 wires, which should be the 4 that I've got connected. It's a CH340 USB to serial converter. Pretty straightforward. And that's what I've got implemented, plugged in right there. So I've got the 4 wires. Crispian says, which mountain, Pete? The big one just outside Hobart is my guess. My pizza for lunch is on its way now, says Amanda. Oh, jealous. Okay, this is not uploading, and I think, oh, connecting, a fatal error occurred. Packet content transfer stopped. I've been swapping the TX and RX backwards and forwards, and right now it is the reverse of the way that I think it should be. I'm going to switch it back and do it yet again. Yet again. That one, so I want grey to the front. Alright. Grey to the front, purple to the back. And let's do this, because I can't be bothered waiting for Arduino IDE to do its thing again. So let's just run the upload directly. And that way I can run this again whenever I want to. Port busy or doesn't exist. Oh, I wonder if I have the console open. I do. Oh! Base MAC address is not set. Look at this. There was stuff in the console at some point. I should have been paying attention, because this would have told me when I had TX and RX around the right way. Alright, I'm going to close that, switch back to here, try this again, and see if this is going to work now. If it doesn't, I'm going to go back to the terminal and try, yeah, that's not working, and try again, pressing reset to see what orientation allows it to work. Alright, serial monitor, open. I am going to try now. I'm going to leave this view so that you can see what's going on, and I'm going to try putting it into bootloader mode. I'm going to bridge and press reset, and do we get anything? We do not. Okay, now I'm going to swap TX and RX and try the same thing again. So this time I need purple to the front, grey to the back. This feels like a very unscientific thing. I'm just kind of messing around here. Okay, so IO0 bridged again. There we go. Okay, it is now in bootloader mode. And we have received data. So I'm going to close that, switch back to here, and run the upload manually. See if this works. Come on, come on. I wonder if I've got the wrong, so we've got default reset. Oh, device reports readiness to read but return no data. Is likely not a problem. Okay, so it came from Pi Serial, so it's a hardware connection problem. Alright, back to the bench. Let's see what we've got here. We know that RX is working. This could just be a bodgy connection. So we know that the RX is working on this because we get the data coming from the board when we restart it in bootloader mode. So we know the purple wire is good, which is this one, which is going to whatever that is. I'm going to look up the pinout in a moment. So it's going to that one. Then we've got ground and power, V out. We're running in 5 volt mode. I wonder if we need to be running in 3.3 volt mode. That, and then power the target on the 3.3 volt. Let's do that. Let's do that. I may have been screwing with the ESP's little brain. So what I'm going to do is take the power off there, going into the 5 volt rail, and put it into the 3.3 volts. So I've switched the USB to serial converter to 3.3 volts. It goes to there. And no, not that one. This one. This one goes to there. Okay, Now, let's try this again, sort of. Back to here, back to here. Error. All right, I'm going to bootloader it again. And we got waiting for download. Close the serial terminal. Switch back to this terminal. And upload again. Come on, how hard is it to upload something to... this should not be this hard. It really should not be this hard. Ooh, there we go. It's doing it. Oh. Hard resetting via... oh, hang on. Change board mode. This is because we do not have the reset line connected. Okay. We can possibly get around this by changing the setting in the board profile. Yeah, I bought one that had the extra board with USB connector and used that. It is because the oscillator is mounted at an angle, you're only seeing a percentage of the waveform. Crispian. Oh, Wagonload says, I sent you a diagram on Discord /programming. Okay. No, it would likely worked. Open IDE serial and hit reset. Oh, okay, so it may have actually uploaded. It is possible. It is possible that it simply failed to do the reset at the end because it doesn't have access to the reset line. So, let's do that and press reset and see what it says. Camera X clock, pin control, base MAC address is not set. It looks like it is doing something. Doing something? Is it connecting to Wi-Fi? Is it going to report if it connects to Wi-Fi? Read default base MAC address from block 0 fuse. I thought there'd be some more debugging happening once it gets through the point of setting up Wi-Fi. Now, where is serial begin? I've got to be careful where I scroll here. I don't want to scroll too far. Right, I'm going to move this off the screen. Oh, it's a good thing I did. Okay, serial begin is at 115,200. So it's printing that. What should we be seeing in the console? Oh, we should be seeing Wi-Fi connecting. And we are not. Okay, and we should see camera ready and a number of other things. And then it goes into, yeah, and then there's a task for the, yeah. And then there is a task for handling the camera after that. All right, I'm just going to clear this, reset it again, so that we've got a total collection of everything that it outputs on startup. It outputs nothing on startup. I just press reset and we got nothing. Why do we have nothing? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, blah, error. Oh, camera demo, detected OV260 camera. I did not see Wi-Fi starting. It's odd. Okay. What it should be doing is coming up with a message saying that it is... So maybe it's failing to connect to Wi-Fi. Maybe what I should do is plug in the other ESP32 cam the same way and just flash that one and see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm just logging into the Unify console so I can see a list of the devices, client devices. Where are client devices? There we go. And sorted by uptime. Oh, my printer is the most recently booted device. Then we've got something from Espressif. Oh, add an IP, but it's otherwise unknown. What's the uptime on that one? Being weird. It's a weird device. .138 is the IP. Not getting any joy with it. I think this is an ESP32 that I was playing with previously, and Unify just has it listed as a device in the console, but it's not really on the network.
At Austin's_creations said, it might be the selected camera type, which is set above the Wi-Fi info.
Oh, okay. That could, yes, Austin, thank you. All right, I'm going to take this off screen because I need to scroll back up to the config. So we've got board config, start camera service, set up LED flash, board config, and camera model. Yes, here we go. Oh. All right, this I suspect is it. So in the board config.h, we've got camera model, and we've got ESP32 cam board down here. This is probably why it is erroring. Austin, you are my savior once again. ESP32 cam board. All right, I'm going to put this into bootloader mode. So I'll clear this. I will bootloaderize the target. There we go, waiting for download. Then I'm going to compile and upload this again. Yeah, I suspect strongly that you have just jumped me straight to the answer and avoided me a long time of puzzling over what the hell is going on. Possibly has a distinct lack of reading the docs. Oh. Okay, now, come on, compile it, go. Go, and then upload. Come on, we're so close. So close. Okay, now given the time, what I'm hoping is that now we will get to the point of being able to test this camera. So at least we will know the suitability of orienting the camera in that way. And then I can get on with opening up the front part of the, come on, do the upload. Oh, come on. Oh, maybe that was the end? Stub flasher running. I very much suspect that that has not actually uploaded, but let's find out. I'll hit reset. Yeah, it's probably just going to come up with an error. Yeah, it'll do the base MAC address is not set. I think it did not upload. So I'm going to try that again. I'm going to put that into bootloader mode. I know this is just doing the same thing a second time and hoping to get a different result, but that seems to be the way things go with this sometimes.
At Paul_Schultz said, close the serial.
Yep, thanks Paul. Usually in Arduino IDE it is smart enough to figure that out, which is something that really annoys me about VS Code. Its serial console is not smart enough to be able to figure out that it needs to suspend the console while doing an upload. That is one thing that is very convenient about Arduino IDE. You can have the console open, upload, and it disconnects the console, does the upload, and then reconnects the console seamlessly. Yes. Oh, hopefully I've got the rest of the target configuration set properly. No! Okay, what else might we need to set? Although we did do an upload successfully. Why is this now balking? I'm going to try just calling ESP tool directly again. Back to here and call it there. Although it may not do anything because I've got to put it in. Do I have to put it back into bootloader mode? I haven't reset it. We'll see. Serial port. Do it. Do it. Come on. Come on. Connect. Connect. No. If it hasn't connected by now, it's not going to. Right. I'm going to bootloader mode it again. And do that again. This may be something I just need to fiddle around with off stream, because this is a whole lot of messing around that is not really very interesting or useful. Well, that looks hopeful. Ah, that is the point it got to previously, but did actually upload. So let's try this. Manual reset. Camera. X clock. Come on, base Mac. Now this is where it came up with an error last time. I think I might just need to mess around. Yeah, it should have initialized the camera by now. I think I just need to mess around with the code on the ESP32 cam, get that working, because who knows how long it's going to take. And this is not an interesting thing to be watching. So I'm going to get back to the... Oh, gotta go, Paul. Okay. Oh, Vic was here. Yeah, Vic said, oh, hi, I just been making a micro rep wrap Picker V02 with which to annoy John and make him do another massive print. Yeah, Vic, I had already at the start of the stream explained the situation and the incoming cyclone, so I hope you're doing well, and that what I really hope is that it avoids you and doesn't do anything bad. So, yes. And I told people about the Picker update. So I am going to print the .02 Picker before attaching the Axis drivers to it, just to make sure that I'm as close to up to date as possible and don't have to redo it later. Crispian, Uru, see ya. What is it? It's 12:03 in the PM. It hasn't come up with an error, like with the camera error. It also has not told me that it's connected to Wi-Fi, and it has not appeared in the device list on the Unify network console. Oh, Vic says a bit wet and windy out, but yeah. Hopefully not too wet and windy. Hopefully manageable wet and windy. Is there something else that it could have been? I just picked camera model ESP32 cam board because that seemed to be the obvious thing. But is there another board that this should be? Cam LCD has no PS RAM. I think M5 stack, ESPI Rover kit. No, I think this is the obvious correct board to define. It's weird because I'm on IDE 236 and the sketch looks different than yours. Oh, it could well be that this is just way out of date. So this is 189. I avoid the Arduino 2 series IDE like the plague as a result of many bad experiences. So
At Austin's _ creation.
what do you want? 236.
It is weird because I'm on IDE 2.3.6 and the sketch looks different than yours.
Okay, I have here, I've just opened it on the other monitor, Arduino IDE 236. So the most recent is 238, but I don't have the most recent. So I'm going to go examples, ESP32, camera web server. let's try this. Let's switch to ESP IDE V2. V2. I'm going to close that and don't save it. And close that. And don't know what that's doing. Oh, that's something on the old one. Okay. So here we have the example on. Oh, this is very different. All right. This is not at all the same. So where do we configure? Oh, okay, so they've moved it in, so board config. So what I can do is comment out that. This is the ESP32 CAN board. It's got more board options in here. So this example is obviously more up to date than what I've got. Now I'm going to apply these, but I'm going to do it off screen. And then we'll try doing the upload out of here. And I will see if ESP32 dev module. No, that's not what I want. I want that port, and I want is it Rover? ESP32 Rover module. I think that's what I'm meant to select on that port. Yes, do it. And all right, let's do bootloader mode once again. Here we go. It's into bootloader mode and upload. Compiling, just like the XKCD. While it's compiling, let's do roller chair sword fighting. Okay, on guard. Vic says still running the 1.8 IDE here. Not felt any great need to change it.
Said, are you sure yours isn't the Rover module?
Yes, it is. That's what I selected, I think. ESP32 Rover module. Yeah. In board config option. Rover module in board config option. Ooh, let's see. Board config. ESPI. There's Rover kit. There is no other Rover module. I thought the board type would be ESP32 CAN board with the target as being Rover module. Yeah, maybe it's the wrong combination. This looks like the closest though. Failed uploading, error, exit status 2. So what happened then? It did that stuff. That, I think, is the same as what it did because it's trying to reset and it's failing. So let's serial monitorize this. Close that. Serial monitor connecting to, and then I'll hit reset. And we'll see what comes out. Nothing. Nothing. That is very annoying. Very annoying. Why does it just say connecting to and never actually connects? Oh, did I even select the right board type here? I must have. Yeah, I did in that other navigator thingamajigamy. Okay, erase all before disabled. Upload speed, ZigBee module, PS RAM. Yeah. Right, I guess, I suppose. We've got that, we've got ESP. Oh, why is it saying ESP32 dev module there? That's wrong. I specifically selected Rover. What are you doing, Arduino IDE? In the pop-up dialog where it asked me, I told it was a rover module. And why is this port wrong? It's not even seeing the right port. It's not serial 0001. What are you doing? For some reason, it can't see the port. All right, unplugging, plugging back in. This is the bit of development that is really not fun. It's just flat up annoying. The port just isn't even visible there. Okay, I'm going to try that through the other USB hub and see if we get a port appearing. Come on, give me a port. Port. Oh, where is it? Where does it move to? Port. There. Okay. So now the port is back. Ah. Okay. Come on. Come on, Arduino IDE. Stop getting in the way. Maybe now we're compiling for the right target. Maybe now we have the correct board type. Maybe now we have the correct serial port. Wagon Load says try ESP32S. No. Tinker says, well, TTS will catch it in a second. Plugged into the wrong computer. No, it was on the correct computer, just different USB hub.
Plot twist. Whole time it's been plugged into the wrong computer.
Yeah, possible. Oh, did I think I didn't bootloader mode it. Oh no. Okay, I have now bootloader moded it. Let's try it again. Don't compile the whole thing. Please do not. Not a single file or byte has changed, and yet you feel the need to compile the whole thing again. Arduino IDE, why are you like this? Come on, come on. What I need is to figure out the golden path for this particular board, the right code to load on it, the right environment to use, so that I can set them up repeatedly and reliably. That's going to be very important. Ooh, stopped responding, but maybe it did actually do something. Let's see. Serial monitor. Waiting for download. I'll manually reset it. 5, we got stuff happening. This is similar to what it was doing before. What have we got? So we've got the basic boot stuff, got the image, we've got the file. We have not got it initializing the camera. Ooh, Vic says, things are going blat against the walls here. Ooh. All right. Does that mean it's time to grab the family and go and hide somewhere, like in the basement? If you have a basement, and the basement won't flood, you know what I mean. Whatever things it is you do to hide from a cyclone, you should go and do those things, Vic. Okay, I'm going to call it at this point because it is 12:14, and I'm kind of just messing around at this point. I am failing in multiple dimensions to upload code to this board, and I just don't know. Camera pins, is that a... Okay, so that's based on the board type that has been defined, and we used a ESP32 cam somewhere, not the S2 cam, not the S3 cam, just that one. ESP32 cam board, so it's using these
At
I/O pins.
Austin_creations said, good says bad MAC address is likely a bad power supply.
Oh, really? Ooh, That could well be. All right, I can fix that with, yeah, okay. Let's try this one last thing just to see what happens. Now, I have here my lab power supply. Right now, what we are doing is powering it off the 3.3 volt rail coming from the USB serial converter. That may well be the issue. It is very, very highly plausible that that is the issue. So what I'm going to do is that I need to connect, yeah, more amps. I need to connect a ground, which is right next to IO0. It's that one there. And I need to connect to the 5 volt rail, which is that one over there. And then these connect to here. And I'll turn on the lab power supply. Smoke, smoke, no smoke. Okay. So now it should be, yeah, it's actually getting 3.3 volts off that. So I should disconnect that just to be on the safe side, which is, where is it? V out, it's the white one. Disconnect the white lead. So it's now being powered.
Austin's_creations said one of the VCC pins on the module is 5V, not 3V3.
Yes, exactly. That's what I've just connected. So I'll press reset now. It should now be running off the 5 volt rail, and it is. Ooh! Look at this. Look at this. Hopeful. Camera demo. Detected OV2640 camera. What I don't know is what IP it's got. Looks like the serial output stopped right there. Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. Yes, Stephen, you are correct. I can give John a recipe for kaboom dust for next time, says Vic. Yeah, if anybody knows about kaboom dust, it's probably Vic. Now, I think it's a long shot, but I'm just checking whether any device has appeared in the Unify thingamajigamy. It has not, because, yes. All right, I'm going to, where is the clear button? Is it that one? Toggle times per damp. No, that's toggle auto scroll. Where is the clear button in this stupid serial console? Is there a clear button? How do you clear the console in Arduino IDE 2? Why? Is this yet another example of something that was working perfectly fine and then it got enshittified? I think it probably is. All right, I'm going to press reset again on the CAN board. Where's the reset? There, pressed reset. And where are we getting to? Detected camera, yeah. It gets to the same place and then it just stops. The power supply is showing it's pulling 163 milliamps at
Imi Ann
5
says, sorry
volts.
to interject. My friend Nadine has just been given a tough diagnosis of lymphoma.
Oh,
I want to
no.
share her GoFundMe link with my community.
Oh, that sucks, Imi. Okay. Yeah, if you like, drop the GoFundMe link into the chat. You should have permissions to... Yes, cool. There you go. So that is Imi's friend Anne's GoFundMe for lymphoma treatment. Oh yeah, that's a tough diagnosis. Yeah, I hope she manages to get all the treatment that she needs and can deal with that. I'm sorry to hear about that, Imi. All right, I'm going to stop there because I do have a commitment. The messages that you have, I think the issue isn't either board config.h, either ESP32 kit. Okay, board config. Yeah, it's ESP32 cam board. So I do have obligations. I need to go and meet my sister. So
At
where
Austin's
is...
underscore creations said, I think the issue is in board underscore config. H, either especially 32 kit or AI Tinker.
Yeah, ESP32 kit. Where is ESP32 kit? Kit. I can't see that anywhere in that list of options. There's no ESP32 kit, but it could be AI Tinker. Okay, where is AI Tinker? That one. There's AI Thinker. Oh, so sorry, Rover Kit. Ah, yeah. Let's just try Rover Kit.
At Austin's underscore creations said, sorry Rover Kit.
Yeah, let's try this one. I'm going to bootloader mode it yet again. Oh, hang on, that means I've got to find another wire. No. Oh no, what I can do is bridge there, press reset, let go, I should be fine. There to there, press reset. Hopefully it's in bootloader mode now. Oh, look at this. There's a rendering bug in the Arduino IDE serial console. Of course there is. A few household chemicals in the proper proportions, yes. Yeah, Vic is a menace. Vic could very easily get me into serious trouble. All right, let's... I know you're compiling Sketch. Get your stupid status thing out of my way. There isn't even a way to... Yeah, to dismiss it so that you can see the output of the terminal. I feel like I am getting into a... Yeah, there we go. I feel like I am getting into an angry old man situation regarding Arduino IDE. All right, just hit reset again. And what is it finding? Detected the camera, 5 version, doesn't get any further. Yep, I am not putting any more time into this right now on stream. This is just going around in circles at this point. And I do have to get out somewhere to meet my sister, to do some stuff. We have some family obligation things to take care of. Yeah, so the dings that you've been hearing are coming through on my phone. Those are messages from my sister. So I need to follow that up. So I'm going to leave it here, having made approximately 0 progress. But at least I updated you on the progress that I made in between the last stream and this one. So there's something. I found a whole lot of ways to not upload to an ESP32 cam. That's something. Okay.
At ImageAnan4484 said, QMEAN says, thank you, Jono. He'll share the link on the general Discord page if I can too.
Yep, sure. Do that. Yeah, stick the link in Discord for people that want to support and GoFundMe.
Uru.
What am I doing? I'm saying goodbye. That's what I'm doing. Right. I think that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to try to do. So, I hope you all have a fun week. I hope you have a good time. And queue up some nerd brags. Think about them during the week. What little things do you do that you accomplish? Okay, I've got a nerd brag. I've got to lead by example. If the goal here is to foster a positive state of mind by being aware of our achievements and our little wins along the way, I should do the same. So, no brag. What day is it today? It is Sunday. Okay. Friday. I helped a friend replace part of the front of a car after it had been crashed. And we pulled the whole front off the car. It was a Peugeot. So we pulled the front off it and replaced a cross brace that goes between the chassis rails because that had been bent in the accident. Got a new one from a wrecker, bolted it all in place, refitted the headlights and the front, connected it to the quarter panels, got it all attached, and the car drove away, which was great. And it looks, I mean, it doesn't look factory, but it looks pretty good. Certainly good enough that if you just sort of glanced at it without paying a whole lot of attention, you would have no idea that anything bad has happened to it. So that was a good achievement. That was yeah. It felt good to get to the end of that, because when we started on it, we had very little expectation that the car would be drivable by the same day. It was, okay, got the parts, got to figure it out. And it all fell into place. A bit of messing around, a bit of fiddling, a bit of figuring things out, and it all worked out. So, nerd brag, helped a friend repair a car, and it works, which is awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, it drove away on its own, didn't wait for a driver. No. Not autonomous mode, not this one. Okay. Gavin Jackson says, Clark and Door, the front fell off sketch. All right, I'm going to go. So, until next time. Now, what saying am I going to use this time? All right, I'm going to fall back on an old one, an oldie but a goodie, which is, until next time, may your survival be long and your death be swift. If you know, you know. Have fun, and I will talk to you all later. See ya, and thanks for coming.